It's Martina Dechevska here with the Empire team at Spire Group for our REDinNYC live stream. Today I have here with me Jerrod Delaine from Carthage Advisors, as well as architect Barbara Lewandowska. How are you guys doing today?
Fine, thank you.
Good, very good.
Great to hear. So before we start, I just want to thank to our sponsors, CNA Seneca Construction, Skyline Scaffolding, Champion Elevator, Remax 100, City Bay Capital LLC, PropertyShark.com, Clean to Clean, Hydrotech Environmental, as well as our lovely host, Selman Yautzin with REDinNYC, making that meeting possible for all of us. And to start, our conversation today is going to focus on your business strategies during the pandemic and your plans for the future. If you want, let's start with maybe introducing yourselves with a few words.
Barbara first.
Ladies first.
My name is Barbara Lewandowska. I'm an architect. I have a small practice in Manhattan. We've been doing a lot of commercial fit-out projects as well as renovations of existing buildings. I also taught at Parsons and Pratt for a few years, but I'm focused on work right now.
That's lovely. And which are your, like if you can mention a couple projects that are fun to your heart that you have worked on?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we did a radio station project for a community radio station project at the City College that was completed not too long ago, just recently. And enjoyed very much working with the team, and you know, getting it through was a long process, but we turned the sort of windowless space into bright and happy kind of environment. So
that's great. That sounds lovely. Actually, studied radio myself, but ended up in real estate. So that's a cool project. And Jerrod, if you want to introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit more about you and your work.
Cool. Greetings, everybody. My name is Jerrod Delaine. I'm the Director of Development at Carthage Real Estate Advisors, a small development shop based out of Harlem. We do primarily affordable housing, but we've dabbled our toes into the water and doing some other types of deals as well. I've spent first 5 years of my career was in architecture. Got my master's in real estate at NYU, and I've spent the last 10 years of my career on the real estate side. Okay. And I also teach at NYU and I teach at Pratt currently.
That's great. That's very good, and I'm happy to have two professionals in their fields here with us. That was what challenges have the COVID-19 pandemic brought to you? And I know at our preliminary call we spoke about also, you know, trying to turn the negative into positive, and maybe the things that we can potentially, you know, take advantage of regardless of the sad situation.
We had 3 construction projects in play as COVID started. One, literally, we signed up a partner like 2 weeks before, and it was full speed ahead. Let's go ahead. Let's do construction. And then COVID happens, and then DOB puts out an announcement that projects have to stop. Essential projects can start, but you have to do this application. You have to follow these requirements. You have to do these safety precautions. So it added some definite complexities to an already complex line of business, which is construction in New York City.
Yes.
So that was some difficulty that we had to work through as a result of COVID.
Okay, but you still managed to push the project forward, right? Because that's what we do. We're deal makers.
That's what we do. That's what we do. So one of them was literally 40% into construction. So literally like material is on site. So we had to worry about security and maintaining things and things not getting stolen during construction. Another one of the projects, we'd started demolition, and it was a big demolition project. So we had weekly phone calls with the neighbors because they were concerned about, you know, any safety precautions and any ramifications that it would have on them. So we had to work with them and with our GC to make sure we were doing all that we could to minimize, you know, any negative effects they would feel from our project.
Okay.
But yes, we didn't stop. We continued. It slowed us down, but we luckily can continue the projects.
So what is that project now? How many percent completion you brought it?
So I read the requisition yesterday. So our phase 1 for the building in Brooklyn is at 76%. So,
okay.
So we're going to start selling those units probably first quarter of next year.
Okay.
So
is it a residential project or commercial?
Yeah, affordable for sale units in Brooklyn.
Okay, great. Where
so,
in Brooklyn?
That was the other complexity. So it's financed by HPD and this organization called CPC. So, you know, the government financing has its own complexities. A lot of paperwork. So doing that in the midst of, you know, the pandemic was a bit tricky, but we were able to have constant communications. We talk to them every Thursday. We have an admin call every other Tuesday, just so they could understand what we were doing and that we were paying attention to all the variables. So.
Okay. How about you, Barbara? You want to share a recent project that has been a success despite the challenged circumstances we're dealing with?
Well, for us, the actual the remote work was not an issue, at least not in the short term. You know, in the long term, I can see this. This is not as desirable, situation. But in a matter of few months, it's not an issue at all because we were already set up to work, traveling and going to construction sites. You know, we were very flexible even before. So the fact that we had to work remotely didn't really affect us that much. I have to tell you that we even have one person on our team that that went on personal trip to Japan and was able to complete his tasks, from abroad before he came back. So, it's actually not such a big deal in our particular profession. However, a lot of clients, and at least in our situation, they stalled, because no one knows what's going to happen. And a lot of people choose to wait and just, so things are, turning forward. But it was amazing how, we all ready, but not everybody is as ready. And some developers and some clients, they see this as an opportunity, to purchase properties at a discounted price, and some others choose to wait. So that's basically the background for it. But I think it's more there's different impact. The technology enabled us really to swallow this practically on a weekly basis. Within a week we were 100% operational.
Yeah.
Home. But there are other issues, I think, that need to be addressed as well.
Like what issues, for example?
Well, I think people, some people who live in the suburbs, they prefer to stay there, but some other people who do not live in the suburbs, who live in apartments, they want to come to the office. So it's, and I think, it needs to be addressed. I think a lot of people eventually would want to get back to normal full speed, and it's going to come back, but it's going to be a little slower, I think.
Yes, I see that. Actually, I see some people really changing, making big lifestyle changes, meaning that now they plan to be working from the office maybe 1 or 2 days a week, versus 5 days a week, as a lot of people have in the past. Some of us work more than 5 days, as we all know, especially in New York, and that brought right now what we're seeing as crazy deals. Me as a residential sales realtor, I haven't seen deals like this in at least the past 6 years that I've been a broker in New York, meaning apartments that have been sold for 2.25, people are willing to let them go for 1.575 million. I saw that last week, and they're willing to take a haircut like that just to move. I've never seen anything like that, and we all know that the New York market have been through many turmoils. That's not the first, and it's probably not going to be the last one for this city. So the price is going to bounce back, but for the people who are not willing to, who don't want to wait, who want to take an action now, I think they're incredible deals. And at the same time, in upstate or in Westchester and pretty much everywhere in the suburbs, from a reasonable, let's say up to 2 hours distance driving to New York, we're seeing crazy bidding wars. We're seeing property values shooting up, and we're wondering how long would that continue, and wouldn't that be a bubble that's also going to pop the same way that people have referred to the double-digit appreciation that we've been seeing in New York that seem, not typical for the rest of the U.S. market. So I think that's interesting. Another thing that I'm curious to hear your opinion, Jerrod, what do you think about, you do a lot of affordable housing. Do you see more interest now in developers and investors switching their regular market value projects to affordable housing, or how is that segment of the market being affected?
So from the demand side, unfortunately, there's an incredible need for affordable housing in New York City and all major cities, but New York City being the most extreme example. On the supply side, HPD and HFA have had a really robust financing system that allowed us to create it on a pretty regular basis. Last year, the market rate development slowed down quite a bit. It's pretty hard to pencil out based on land costs and hard costs to make a market rate apartment building work. To get a condo building finance was tough last year.
Yeah.
So we saw an increase in demand on the financing side from investors who were saying, I used to finance condos, but I'll do, affordable deal. They wanted to know how this works so they could do a different type of investment, broaden their portfolio. I think that has come to a complete halt. It's very hard to imagine getting financed for a retail center today.
Yeah.
Getting financed for a hotel today, right, is extremely difficult. So, capital that's available to get land in cities seems to be in a good place right now. It is hard for government financing because they have this little unknown factor, which is exactly how much of a loss they're taking because 25, 35, 40% of the population is not working. So their revenues are different. So there's a bit of a balancing act as they recalibrate their budget projections for this year and next year. Hopefully the federal government steps up and puts some funds into it. We'll see. But yes, if you can build the building, you will rent it out like that. So that's the easy part. The hard part is getting the financing, getting the debt financing, locking it up, and then constructing it.
Okay. And how do you see investors and you and other people in your field going around these challenges?
You know, I see more competition today than I saw in April. Seems like people are waking up and coming back to work as of late. You know, obviously there's still a lot of hesitation. You know, a lot of people are taking the losses on the other assets. If you have a massive portfolio of buildings, it might be problematic right now. If you have a large exposure to office and retail, you may not be so aggressive on doing new deals at this moment. We are in the affordable space, and a number of other people I know in the affordable space. You know, our engines are still moving along. We're wrapping up deals that we were already financing and already building. So that has to happen. So that for us seems to be the current state, which is if you had a project already in the pipeline that was already funded, that's still moving forward, and you feel confident after you finish it, you're going to lease it up in the affordable housing space. The retail space is definitely going to be dicey. It was tough last year. And like a lot of these mom and pop businesses are not going to be able to bounce back after being closed for 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, 9 months.
Yes, I agree. I see like big hair salons who have been staples in New York City also closing a lot of their flagship stores. We merged recently with another company, so we're going to be sharing the same office space. And I'm also, you know, it's interesting for the landlords who do have a big office or commercial portfolios, because we had a certain type of investors who love their retail and didn't really want to go into residential as much as, you know, I sell residential real estate, so I believe in it. Now I feel a lot of them and the multifamily rent stabilized investors, after taking the hit from the rental laws that were passed in New York City, now with a lot of tenants not being able to pay their rent, not knowing how you can collect them. Foreclosures proceedings, as far as I know, are still on hold.
Correct.
So that will be that I feel is going to be a big challenge. To Barbara, what do you think on your end? What is your commentary?
Well, from architectural standpoint, I think the good part, the positive part of it is we're gonna shift away, I believe, from the micro units that were introduced.
That's awesome.
No more 250 square feet, one bedrooms.
I think it's unreasonable to ask people to live in such a small space for a long time, you know. So I'm happy to see that that shift is probably going to happen automatically. I also am happy to see the shift probably away from co-living, or how you call it. We live, you know, we
work, we live. Yeah. They were starting a big project, I think, and there were a few small other co-living enthusiasts. But so you think that due to the COVID reality that we live in right now, that, you know, some doctors saying we're going to be living in it in the next 10 years is going to linger, and we're going to have to deal with stuff like that. You think that that's going to shift people to more wanting their own personal space and more like...
I think so. Yes, I believe that that is going to happen, because it was becoming trendy, but I think it's gonna put we're gonna see breaks on that. So, you know, there is always a positive outcome, you know, like I think with any, like in your life, anything bad happens, there's always good that comes out of it in the end. So bad things sometimes happen, and I'm very sad that this happened, and you know, it's painful, like any other, you know, horrible events. But if you think about it, fires made our buildings safer because we have egress regulations, and 9/11, in the end, you know, as horrible as it was, and I was very close to it, you know, now made our airplanes and our buildings lobbies safer as well and more secure, you know. So I think this is going to be focused on health, and personal health, and more concern about how you use spaces and architecture, and how you live, and and the quality of air, and things that we didn't have to be concerned before, at least not so much, is going to be a tremendous improvement. We're going to see a tremendous improvement in those areas.
And what do you think about, there has been a big drive of, which building's gonna unfold more amenities, especially in the highly saturated vertical market of Manhattan. Now, a lot of people can't use these common spaces that they're paying, crazy common charges for. Do you think that there will still be a demand for amenities for the buildings, or do you think that finally we may be able to see more private outdoor spaces in New York, the way that you're from Europe originally, so am I. Nobody's gonna buy something without a balcony, at least. We have even two. In the home that I grew up with, we had two terraces, and that's kind of like, and also the washer and dryer situation too, because I feel that now with COVID, people will be more, everybody wants to have their own washer and dryer. They don't want to do their laundry with right. Like a whole building. And we've been seeing penthouses for $2 million that washer and dryer is not allowed, which is crazy, Right. Do you see more of like this shifting in terms of demands and in terms of what your clients are, asking for, or what's your prediction?
Well, I think first of all, I think we need to educate people how we take care of the health situation, and how the disease is transmitted. And I think the main reason and the main obstacle right now, and the main reason for improvement, would be air quality. And this is engineering. It can be done, but it's not going to be about disinfecting your tabletop so much. It's going to be about how the return air goes back to the ceiling, and how the supply, there's one trend to have as little outdoor air in your air conditioning because of the energy and the green design and energy conservation, and our goals, to improve that, especially in New York. And on the other hand, you have a health situation where you want more open windows and, outdoor air improved. So it's going to have to be disinfected, but also how the return air and air supply travels between you and the duct or diffuser, and understanding that airflow and the quality of air and demanding a better air quality is going to be a key issue, I think, more important than plastic partitions between your desks. For residential work, I think there is going to be definitely a demand for outdoor space.
Yeah, we already see that. Everything with outdoor space, is very, very, very much more desirable after New Yorkers have been notorious for not using their outdoor spaces. So now we'll see they buying them, but let's see if they use them actually.
Well, I'm from Florida. So the tricky thing about New York is half the year is just unpleasant outside.
Yeah.
So.
And the other half is too noisy.
So the other half is noisy, and at least a month of that is too hot.
It's true.
Right? They're just so unbearable that you don't even want to be outside for very long. But, I'm generally bullish about New York City. I think once the vaccine gets out to everybody, to everywhere, I think New York City will be one of the first cities to come back. And I felt that way even before the cases got insane in Florida and California and Texas. I still feel that, there's a lot of people that want to live here. There's a lot of business that happens here. There's a quality of life that's here that's hard to get in other places. So I personally think the spread out is a good thing, because people have been screaming in New York, it's too expensive, it's too expensive, it's too expensive. Well, here we are with a reset. So prices have come down. It's cheaper to get an apartment in the Upper East Side. It's cheaper to get a place up West Side. If you want to own a house, you can do that now, right? It's right in front of it. So there's more options. Versus, like, in all honesty, like the last couple of years, it's been a fever pitch how expensive it's been.
Oh yeah, I mean the market was extremely aggressive. Multiple offers, bidding wars, like very hard to buy anything.
Yeah.
So I think I agree with you that things are gonna level off, but they did start leveling off in the beginning of 2019. We started the trend with the interest rates dropping and becoming more buyer friendly, and market softening. So the market corrected, at least in residential once, and then we were ready for this kind of like very busy buyer season with the interest rates being that low, which I think put some people on hold. And I have that conversation every day with my clients. Oh, should we wait? Should we go? But I feel that it's always a good, I mean, the time to buy is always now, especially if the seller is motivated and if the other party is motivated to make a deal. And there are a lot of people who are very highly motivated right now who want to do it. So I feel that at the end, people can take advantage of that, even the worst situation, we have to see something positive in it, because if we can't change it, we're going to bury our head and just start crying and be sad about it. That's not going to change anything. We're resilient. Humans have been through so many crazy things, and we've managed to deal with all that, and especially New Yorkers, where I feel extra tough here. So I feel the same way that, the bold people will take advantage. We see all the investors, the big guys on the market trying to make moves, trying to buy things at a discount. Investors from out of town as well, looking to now take advantage of the situation. And, the demand is up there. And you guys probably see it. As soon as we entered into phase 2, everybody in our field has been like, just up to here with work, which is great, but we've all been very, very, very busy, because I feel that for like 2-3 months, people had time to sit and reflect and think for their business plans, and like also decide that, that they may have put things on hold, but, tomorrow's not promised to anybody of us. So the time is now to act. And
the reality now is the virus is everywhere. Right. So March, April, it felt like a New York City thing. It's pretty widespread at this point. So if you're gonna live somewhere, if you're gonna go to school somewhere, we're no more dangerous than anywhere else. We're kind of sort of safer than a lot of other places at this point.
Yeah, it's interesting that the subway I don't know what the MTA is gonna do, to be honest, because I've been taking the train, like I didn't in the beginning, but I was forced, because I do a lot of work in Manhattan. It's it's very hard to navigate, and now especially parking's already and traffic is back on, so the empty streets are no longer the case. But we've seen that subway transportation, people are slowly coming back, but I've never seen the subway so empty for so many months consistently. Like I have not seen a packed train. So I don't know how they're going to deal with that. We have to bail them out with our taxes, or what are we going to do?
Right.
No, I've read that MTA was actually one of the first companies that employed the lighting, the UV light. And you walk in a space, you turn on the light for less than a minute, and there is nothing alive. No virus, no bacteria, nothing. So I think we have amazing technologies, and I know MTA has been using it. So I think it's
good, because they haven't for many years really cleaned this train. So it was about time.
It's not gonna look clean, but it's gonna be clean.
That's most important. So guys, if you want to, we're getting close to the ending of our meeting. If you want to give us some, final thoughts or wrapping up, or like some messages to our viewers and to everybody who is interested one way or another in the New York City real estate market.
Barbara first, once again.
Okay. So I remember many years ago, I walked out I came to New York for I think week vacations. I was living in Houston at the time, and I walked out around Times Square or this neighborhood. I looked around and I thought to myself, I'm not moving anywhere else. This is the place I want to live for the rest of my life. I believe New York City has an amazing power because of its diversity, acceptance, because of the visionary people that come and stay in the city. And I think no matter what other people are saying, I believe it's going to come back strong. And the life, I'm sure, 100% sure it's going to change, but I'm also sure it's going to change for the better. And so I'm very positive. If anything comes back sooner, that's going to be New York City because of the imaginary people that live in it. So that's my vision. I think that, the projects are going to get more interesting and more complicated. And I always welcome the challenges because it's going to be more about technology and making healthy buildings and smart buildings and really how we live. I don't believe that urban living is necessarily bad for environment. I think actually, we all profit from being together in large urban areas because of the culture, because of the events and everything else that's going on, and our footprint on Earth. We all concerned about the environment, the natural environment. It's not as big as some people think. There's all the reasons to be optimistic about it.
Great. I love that message, and I agree with you. And New York City have always changed. It's always different, and we're always nostalgic to the New York City of the past. That's an ongoing thing. It's Soho of the 70s. It's always something, always a neighborhood, always the New York that we just missed. But it's always exciting things coming ahead because that's what makes New York the greatest city in the world. And Jerrod, what do you think? What do you want to tell?
I'd say, my parting words is, we moved to cloud computing about a year and a half ago. I think a lot more businesses are going to figure out how can we, if we have to at the drop of a dime, go back to working remotely. If something happens to the building, we can't rely on a physical server on site. That how can we manage all of our operations remotely? I think everybody should be figuring out how to implement that. I think most of us have gone away from pencil and paper doing project management, but figuring out different kind of, there's different softwares that are out there that help you manage things on the fly, so that you all can stay in contact. So we use Airtable. I use Evernote all the time, but whatever software works for you, I think it'll make you a better business person, being able to use the resources that we have available.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that for the field, we've already been doing, just as you guys said, a lot of things remotely. I work on the go all the time. I'm in my mom's apartment now. I was in my apartment earlier, whatever saves time. So I think that can actually save people time for commute. And, kind of the people, there have always been office people who love to go to the office. There's always been people who prefer to work from home. So I think it will find solutions for everybody. And it can actually cut some costs for businesses and give people a little bit more freedom and a better, quality of life. So they can just do their work and push us to, continue to advance. So thank you so much, guys. It was so lovely to speak with you. And the video is going to be available on YouTube for all of us to, stream and come back to it. And I wish you a lot of luck and resilience in your projects. And I hope that we get to work together on something at some point. And thank you again to REDinNYC and Selmani Otsin for having us on his platform.
Thank you
for having us.
All right. Thanks, guys. All the best and see you soon.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.